And so then we go to this idea of self-efficacy, also known as the science of confidence. Self-efficacy is a belief you can achieve what you set out to achieve. Um, in technical terms, right? It's super fucking important, right? Self-efficacy, a belief you can achieve what you set out to achieve. The science of confidence, super fucking important. And we're going to talk about 4 primary ways you can build your self-efficacy. The first one is mastery experiences. In other words, past success. Small and big wins from the past are a great way to boost your current confidence. Create those wins, feast on them, and build your self-image, right? Your self-image is based on your identity. If you have past wins, past success, previous success, mastery experiences, it alters your identity, which changes your self-image, right? And so you want to build your self-image as someone who succeeds. Success means giving your best effort, and bring those past mastery experiences or previous successes to mind when you face current challenges. And so here's some action items you can use to sort of jog your memory about mastery experiences and past success so you can face maybe the current challenges you're facing, or you're walking into an important meeting or an important game or whatever the case may be. First, you can create a top 10 list of your absolute best accomplishments. Write them down, all of them, your top 10 best accomplishments. Maybe you feel like you don't have 10, think harder, you do, right? And then put those in the forefront of your mind when you're walking into these current challenges or a speaking engagement or a game or whatever the case may be, to install these mastery experiences at the forefront of your mind. So you have that top 10 list. And then you could potentially get a little bit deeper and go into a best self diary. Describe the future you in 5 years. What do you do? Think. How do you feel? Speak, move. How do you experience life? Because identity, action, feelings, that's the vibe. When you change your identity, you change your actions, which then results in change of feelings. So from this current identity that you sort of described in your best self diary, again, I've done 2 previous episodes on identity and self-image. You want to go check those out. They're everywhere you can find my podcast. And I'll link them in the description below if I remember. Sometimes I do not. But anyways, okay, so we have this best self diary, right? We're describing the future you in 5 years. And that is like the identity that you want to become. That identity shifts into actions, and those actions result in a change of feelings. So from this identity, you take action, and action you will feel accordingly, right? Feelings follow behavior. So from this identity, you take action and then more action, and your feelings will follow accordingly. Feelings follow behaviors. I know I just said that 2 times in a row, but it's really important to understand that feelings follow behaviors. And the only way to act the way you want to act is to change your underlying foundation, which is your identity. Your identity is your repeated beingness. So now you have those 2 exercises to start thinking about your mastery experiences, right? You have your top 10 list and you have your best self diary. Now we jump into number 2 for self-efficacy, which is vicarious learning. In other words, seeing someone else achieve the success you would like to achieve. The basic idea here is if they can do it, you can do it as well. Know that. Know that. Please note that. Do not get envious of their success. Celebrate it and say, if they can do it, I can do it too. Obviously, there's some guardrails on this as well. If you are not sort of a, maybe you want to be an NBA basketball player and, the sort of average height of an NBA player is 6'4", 6'5", whatever. I'm kind of making that up, but you get my point. If you're 5'7", that's probably not something that you can do if someone else does it, right? Have some guardrails, some parameters, some realistic thinking around this. But the general idea here, the basic idea is that if they can do it, you can do it as well. Know that. That's vicarious learning. We are seeing someone else achieve the success we would like and learning from them, not getting envious, but learning and studying them. That's number 2, which is vicarious learning. And then 3, we have social persuasion. In other words, someone tells you that you can achieve success, like a coach, a supportive friend, supportive parent, or even me right now on this podcast. You can also persuade yourself through positive self-talk. And self-talk is your number 1 predictor of your confidence. And we will talk about that a little bit more later on in this episode. But just remember, self-talk is wildly important when it comes to your confidence. But number three, when you build your self-efficacy, is social persuasion. In other words, again, someone telling you that you can achieve success, a coach, a friend, a parent, me on this podcast, or yourself persuading yourself through your positive, encouraging, and uplifting self-talk, which is a huge indicator of your confidence. And then the last one of building self-efficacy is your physiology. In other words, if you want to succeed, act like a successful person. Walk, talk, breathe, and carry yourself as if you've already achieved that which you aspire to achieve. Strike a power pose and go rock it. With my athletes all the time, we talk about three things that you have total control over all the time, no matter what: your body language, your breath, and your self-talk. If you as a person in this world can dominate those three things kind of all the time, or as much as you possibly can, your body language, your breath, and your self-talk, I guarantee you will feel more confident because you are acting confidently through your body language, your breath, and your self-talk. Because you may not always feel confident, but you can always behave confidently. Why did we say that feelings follow behaviors? Because if you want to feel confident, you have to act that way. In other words, if you want to succeed, act like a successful person. Walk, talk, breathe, and carry yourself as if you've already achieved that which you aspire to achieve. This is not fake it till you make it. This is acting with your body language, your breath, and your self-talk as that person you wish to become, and then doing the actions, the actual actions, habits, and patterns that will actually lead you to becoming that person. Because you may not always feel confident. We can't rely on that feeling, but we can rely on actions that we have full control over. And that's really important. Body language, breath, self-talk. That is your physiology. And your self-talk is the foundational piece of your confidence, but you do have control over your breath and how you use it. And you certainly do have control over your body language, right? Strike a power pose and go rock it. Be big, be tall, stand big, right? It has a direct link to how you think about yourself. Now, let's continue. So we have the big four of self-efficacy: master experiences, vicarious learning, social persuasion, and physiology. Those are the big four of self-efficacy. Patreon is the home of our exclusive community where we do bonus episodes, live streams, Q&As, and merch discounts, and so much more. Patreon is the number one way to support this podcast and to support my mental health nonprofit called You Are Loved.